document is broadly, this coalition has failed the country and failed on its own terms. What's going wrong? But let's be clear, they're doing some pretty terrible things. The bedroom tax is nasty and hitting people where it hurts. Repealing antisocial behaviour orders is just wrong and leaving people unprotected. Cuts to benefits, meaning that women are most likely to be affected by this coalition, is just wrong and immoral in a whole number of ways. So this government, because the actions that they have brought about, has turned off their own recovery they've been promising this country. Debt is up. And George Osborne said, judge us on our AAA rating. That has gone and it is lost. And if you look just in the papers most days, on their own terms, the squabbling that goes on between the coalition parties. This weekend, we saw Nick Clegg come out against not only the Tories' policy on free schools, but David Lawes' statements on Thursday of last week. They can't agree between Thursday and Sunday in the same party about what the coalition should be doing.
The only reason that we're not part of that, the only reason that we haven't defaulted, hadn't had to be bailed out, is because those cuts were adopted. Because we took the necessary steps to take our country away from the brink. I don't think we heard anything about education from the proposition. And yet in that time, we've given 4,000 schools the ability to control their own budgets, their own curriculums, their own ability to talk to their own teachers rather than having to talk to bureaucrats in Whitehall. I think that's an advantage. And we've seen as a result, the biggest fall in the gap between the richest and the poorest kids in secondary education and sixth forms in that time that we've ever seen in our history. We've made it more accessible to the worst off because they don't have to rely on their parents, as happened under Labour's tuition fees, which they introduced in 1998 and 2005. Under the current model, more people are going to universities from the worst off, and in fact, as it happens, fewer from the richest off. The median average wage of British workers has been falling for the last 11 years. Yes, there is a cost of living crisis. Yes, we have to address that. And actually, yes, Labour are right to have started raising it. The thing is, that crisis didn't start in 2010. That crisis started 10 years ago. On that count, we're succeeding, and our plan would reduce the cost of living far more than their plans. When you have 40, I don't know why Labour are laughing, that was in their entire philosophy for 13 years. Reformed planning law, and we've introduced Help to Buy, which allows young people to get onto the housing market, something that our generation for 13 years under Labour were told would never happen.
The central thing of the coalition is about the deficit, about the debt, how terrible it is. They blame everyone apart from who's responsible. They blame immigrants, they blame people on benefits, but it's actually the policies of this government and their rich friends who crashed the economy that caused this. And we're making people desperate for any job that will pay poverty pay. We're undermining the whole idea that as a society we are there for people when times are hard. We're making the country meaner as a result of this government. And that's a divide.
We're protecting freedom of speech through our defamation bill and ending the restrictive situation where it is an offence to insult someone. Regarding equality, this government, I can proudly say, has helped deliver equal marriage for all couples and stopping the unfair situation whereby transgender people had to get divorced even if they wanted to stay married. Women at work. We're ensuring women get a fair deal at work. We're introducing flexible working and shared parental leave. In regards to higher education, now, I have two ways that I approach this. My sort of angry Lib Dem side who deep down still believes in free education, and also in the sense that I understand that this is a coalition, and with my party who have less than 10% of representation in Parliament, we had to come to a compromise with the Conservatives that we wanted to deliver a much fairer system, but that we knew we would not be able to phase up fees. Liberal Democrats, we represent about 8 or 9% of Parliament. And to have delivered what we have from our manifesto, I think is pretty incredible. Some of the most expensive things in the budget were tax cuts, which directly came from the Liberal Democrat manifesto. Cutting income tax for 23 million people, giving them a £700 tax cut, that's a Liberal Democrat policy. It's in the manifesto from the last election. Lifting out millions and millions of low earners out of tax altogether, that's a Liberal Democrat policy that's in the last manifesto. It's right on the front page. And that aspiration is being continued to ensure that anyone who's paying up to £10,000 will be paying no income tax altogether. the people premium. It's a Liberal Democrat policy. Billions of pounds being directed to the lowest, to the most disadvantaged young people in our schools. It's a Liberal Democrat policy.
Well, I think that's not true. The big society just has been given up on and has gone away. The one nation is a way that we want to govern and how we want to bring people together. We want to get growth and make sure it's not just those in the city that experience it, those in London, those in the surrounding areas, but something that is genuinely felt. But my point is, the economy under this government hasn't seen the growth that Alistair Darling had got back into the economy, but has seen it because of the shock of taking £6 billion of spending out right at the beginning, when you can't trade with your partners, pulling out that public spending that reduced consumer confidence and reduced business spending and business capital. Our businesses are sitting on more money than they've ever sat on before, capital in those organisations. They were able to do it, they could more than pay down our deficit and employ everyone.
If you think the proposition persuaded you and the motion, the coalition government has failed. So if you think coalition government has failed, put your hands up. It's a clear answer. Considering that the members of the Conservative Society have left, if you agree with the opposition, put your hands up, please. All right. Well, I suppose the proposition won this debate. I thank all of you and all our speakers for joining us. Thank you so much.